In this lesson, we'll begin setting some placement points for the suspension cables. Alright, so I went ahead and got the rest of our concrete segments in, and I was very careful to make sure I had one member for the center, but I also made sure that all my joints were centered above every other member after that. So now what we could do is basically the tedious task of setting up some points for where we're going to actually have a connection from this element, the structural element, to our arch here. Now we've got that taken care of when we set the nodes for, or when we divided the path for this line. But now we have to kind of take this tedious route about getting some placements done. So to get that done, I need to set my work plane, and my work plane is actually going to be this top surface. So we'll go set, and I'll make sure that surface is highlighted. So now I can jump to my top view. I'm going to scroll in here, and we're going to start from the middle, basically. And we're going to go with reference point, and we're going to set that point right on this face here. So the key is I'm going to set the first point, but then I'm going to move it to where the distance isn't 3 feet here, it's actually 2 feet. So we'll go with 2 feet, and we'll see how that looks for our placement. Nope, it won't allow us to do it, but not a problem. I can highlight it. We'll go with move, and I'm simply going to manually move it. So we'll move it down 1 foot. So now I can click here, and we should be able to place it. Let's redo that again. So we'll go placement, and I'm going to place it right about there. That placement needs to be 1 foot. So we'll go 1 foot. And that's the way to do it. So I can go ahead and get rid of this line here. We don't really, or this point. So we really don't need that one. But we have this one. So now all I need to do is mirror this one across. So let's see if we can mirror this in this view. May not be able to, but if we can, that would be nice. So we'll mirror it and shoot it across. That way its position is exactly the same. So now all I need to do is select both of these elements, holding Control, and I can now simply just copy and paste. So, but before we do that, let's double check the measurement real quick. See how far this is. So we'll go escape out of here. I'm going to select this element, and we'll go check the distance. So we'll probably get that distance checked out here in the east elevation. And I want to know the distance from this midpoint to that midpoint. So we could go take our line dimension here, and basically from the midpoint here on this element to about right here. So I know that distance is going to be about 8 feet 4 inches. So that's going to be the frequency or the spacing I'm going to need to have for the placement of my connections. And I know this is going to be off just a little bit just because of the spacing in here. So I know this is about 8 feet 6 inches. So I'm going to keep that number in mind. It's going to be a really important number. So we could jump back to our 3D view. We'll select both of these elements again. Now I'm going to copy, make sure multiple is selected. Now I'm just going to click and drag and then go to where I see 8 foot 6. And I'll do the same thing here. And it's probably 8 foot 4 is actually that correct dimension. So let's correct that really quick. So we can select both of these. Let's do that again. So we'll highlight one there, one here, copy, make sure our frequency, and we're going to move it 8 foot 4. And that definitely looks more like the midpoint. So 8 foot 4 will be our magic number. So I'm just going to kind of place these at the 8 foot 4 mark. If I can get it, perfect. And that's basically how we're going to get these placed. So we'll highlight both of these, and we'll basically copy and paste, paying attention to the 8 foot 4 distance. That way we are getting the proper placement of our connection points. So what I'll do is I'll take this exact same process. I'll finish out the placement on the rest of these structural members. And in the lesson following this one, we'll go ahead and start creating our adaptive components for our cable and our cable connections.